Hello, everyone. You're listening to Game Rivals, a podcast where a Nintendo fan and a PlayStation fan talk about the latest games and happenings in the gaming community and industry. I'm one of your hosts, Maximilian X, and together with SeanTemplar, we bring you this bi weekly podcast about video games. And welcome back to another episode of The Game Rivals. I am your host, Maximilian X. Joining me, as always, is my lovely co-host and fellow game rival, Sean Templar. How you doing, Sean
Hey, I'm
Templar?
doing fine. Thank you for asking. How are you today?
I'm good, all things considering. I mean, we're in week 2 of the lockdown. Still playing games, still doing the things I love, and I don't have to go outside for it. So nothing has really
Happy
changed in
days.
that. How
Yeah,
about you?
I don't deal as well with this because all like social stuff is not possible. So you can't go to the movies, can't go to the gym, can't go out dinner with people. Um, and I'm not a kind of guy that can play games for hours anymore. Like 10 years ago, I could do it the whole day, but now it's like I play an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, and then I'm like, meh, I just want to do something else. So a lot of people said, "Oh, you have this huge backlog, you can play." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not really in the mood to do that." So trying to get by, and hopefully the situation passes fast.
All right, that's cool. Well, before we get into things, I have a small little announcement. We have a special co-star guest joining us for the first time ever. Uh, introduce yourself, Gizmo.
Hey there, people. Thank you for having me, Sean Templar, Maximilian X. I'm Gizmo War. So yeah, I've been gaming with a couple of times. Sorry, Sean Templar, a couple of times, and yeah, and he asked me to join the podcast once in a while, and this is my first time, so I'm really excited to do that. Um, yeah, when it comes to games, I really like to play adventure games like Jedi Fallen Order,
Nice.
Horizon Zero Dawn,
Oh,
Assassin's
nice.
Creed,
Good stuff. Good
and
stuff.
when it comes to other games, RPGs, I really love like yeah, Pokemon obviously, or Mass
Oh,
Effect, the
nice.
first one, and yeah, I'm really excited to join in on this podcast every once in a while and see how that goes. So thanks for having me, guys. How are you? Yeah. So quarantine life is not treating you very well, Sean Templar.
It's not no. I hope it's over fast because yeah, it's I don't know, man. I'm not made to stay inside, I guess, or at least stay like confined, to put it that way.
No,
Do you have a favorite game, by the way?
I
Yeah.
really can
Yeah.
imagine. I can really imagine that Maximilian X is really having the time of his
Oh,
life. Like, I don't
yeah,
have to go
yeah,
outside. I don't have to interact with people.
yeah.
Yay!
Well,
Probably.
I do miss the like casual interaction with people, but um, Animal Crossing came out, so
He's now
that's
a
what it's been for
solitary
me for the
creature
past.
living in the dark,
Like I got
taking
lucky
care of his
because
animals.
our local gaming chain, Game Mania, closed their doors early. So that means that people wouldn't be able to pick up their games on Friday. So on Wednesday, they invited us to pick up our pre-orders, which yay.
That's
And
nice.
this was for both Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal. So together, as it should be, Doom Eternal and
Those
Animal
are like
Crossing.
the two
Um,
like biggest,
Most
yeah,
opposite.
like
Yeah.
Doom Eternal pulling stuff
and
apart,
this
which I like, and taking
In
care of
hell.
animals and building an island and like gardening and
Yeah.
yay.
That.
and yet if you've been online and you've seen the outpouring of both fan bases just making these very what's the word I'm looking for here? Um uh, dang it, I forgot the word.
Use the simplest word. Oh,
Wholesome. Thank you.
Wholesome. Yeah.
Very wholesome art of Doom Guy and Isabel from Animal Crossing just coming together and just being all cutesy together, or Isabel in the Doomslayer outfit, just ripping everything to shreds, or Doomslayer just fishing along the side of a river along with Isabel.
That would
Like
be
these totally fun like stuff that the communities of both these two extremes have just come together and just created something very wholesome, something that even the developers have
Nice.
acknowledged.
that would be such a weird queue, though. You have people queuing up for Animal Crossing. I can imagine those are quite normal people, and then you have people who are way into Doom, and that could be very extreme people, like very
Yep.
dark and very, very gritty, and they're all queuing up and get a game. But what the fun thing would be is like one very gritty guy picks up Animal Crossing, and one very cute little girl picks up fucking Doom Eternal. Like, what the fuck?
I'll send you. I'll actually send you a fan art of something similar to that, and you'll just think it's so
Well, I
hilarious.
think that's the beauty of
Like
gaming,
there's a
right? It
lot of
brings
that
people
kind of fan
together.
art.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
And especially in these times, it brings you together without being with each other,
With
and
a
that's
meter
really
and a half distance, you know.
yeah,
yeah,
that's tops.
Uh,
But then
yeah.
again, yeah,
I've had multiple friends come over to my island just to, do stuff, chat, and yeah, just hang out. So
yay!
I have to make it a confession. I haven't played Animal Crossing ever, so I have no clue how that works. But I can imagine that everything I've seen online is like very, um, yeah, very wholesome, and everybody gets together and yeah, spends time together, even though they're way apart from each other.
true, true, among other things.
Shall
uh,
we jump into the news? Because there's some really exciting stuff that we could talk about.
yeah, I mean,
Let's
there's a
go.
lot of stuff to talk about. Which, despite the fact that everything that's been going on, we've been getting a lot of interesting news. Um, so why didn't you kick it off, Sean? Because I think you have something very interesting to talk about.
Oh boy, I've been waiting to talk about this one.
Oh,
Are you ready for this?
Oh, I'm
drum
ready.
roll.
Okay, so in case you missed our bonus episode that came out last week, Sony did a deep dive as a response, I think, or at least it looked like a response to the Microsoft Xbox Series X in-depth reveal. So quickly, Microsoft invited people over to their headquarters. People got to spend some time with the Xbox Series X, look at it from a hardware point of view. So literally, like if they wanted to build the console from the components, they could. They could also play a few games. It's mainly Xbox One titles such as Gears of War 5, but optimized for Series X. They showed two immense important features: the quick resume, so that you can, for example, um, hibernate or put up to 5 games, I believe, into standby, or 4 games, 4 games into
Or
sleep, and then you can switch between these games at all times, even when you turn the console off, which is a really nice feature. And it's also like really quick resume, so it's not like that you have to wait 30 seconds for it to load. They also showed the improvements that the SSD makes around loading times, which is super cool. And then it was really silent in the Sony camp because the narrative had mainly been focused around Sony until Microsoft did this event. And so quickly, Sony came up with, hey, we're going to do a deep dive. And we initially planned this for GDC, but since GDC is not happening, we'll do an online stream. Um,
Was it quickly though?
no, I think this was like Sean was saying. This was meant
yeah,
for GDC. So instead of it being a stream, I think this was something that Mark Cerny was going to do in front of a
yeah,
group of developers, and then you'd get the reporting from gaming outlets like Kotaku and IGN
Yeah,
and the like.
but the
And
what
since they didn't have that platform anymore, they were like, you know what? Let's just share it with the world. Which, okay, revise it. I know that you like they're crunched for time, so they couldn't revise it, but do it anyways. Because what they did was, it's fine for me because I like the technical stuff of things, but I saw a lot of people saying that this was a very bad presentation, and yeah, from a consumer standpoint, I can see why this was a very bad or boring presentation.
I think Gizmo wanted to say something.
yeah. Um, the thing is, when Microsoft did that deep dive, they already announced what the machine would have. Like it was already known, and they just showed how it
Hmm.
worked. With some features were already in the Xbox One X, like the quick resume is already there, but it's just for one game. They just expanded it to 4 games, which is it's amazing. But the thing from Sony was they announced the PlayStation 5, they announced the website, and then it was like complete radio silence until Microsoft did their reveal of the
Hmm.
specs. And then Sony said, okay, yes, we will do reveal the specs during GDC, and then we'll host an event and whatnot. But then Microsoft threw a curveball and did that deep dive with Kotaku and Digital Foundry, so outsiders could have a perspective of the power of the Series X at this
Yeah.
moment. And then it was like Sony had to do something, even though they already pre-announced it that they would do something around GDC. But because Microsoft did those 2 segments in quite short a short time period, I think Sony just had to do something in within a week. In this case, they did not have the time to wait until the GDC time slot, because that would give Microsoft so much headlines on all the game logs that, yeah, it would not benefit Sony in that case if they waited until their um, planned time slot.
Yeah, I think in this
Yeah.
case the tricky part is that, well, Sony, when they announced the PS5 last year, they did the Wired magazine interview and they dropped did bits of what the console would do. So they would say, hey, it's going to support 4K 120 frames, it's going to do 8K, we're going to have ray tracing, we're going to have these adaptive triggers. So like they announced little things that people already kind of knew now. And I think that the reason this event kind of took a different turn, or at least different expectations, is that it was a constant buildup of momentum. Like every week there was rumors or stuff around the PS5, and it was completely silent around Microsoft. So people would say, "Oh, the GPU is gonna have so many teraflops," or the games will be this. And because there was nothing, Sony kind of let those rumors spiral out of control. And then when they finally did something, it was completely different than what people expected. And that's why I think it has this kind of a negative effect, because
Hmm.
people expected to see the box, the controller, and maybe some features where, like, kind of like what Microsoft did, and they didn't. They really did a technical deep dive. The other side is that because they did this technical deep dive, they don't have to do anything around specs anymore, basically. So from now on, all the events or all the things they're going to talk about is going to be about games, because they did the boring stuff and it's out of the way. Again, they might have taken a different approach, or it would have been better if they did a different approach, or at least show something instead of go really, really deep dive, because it was real techy. And I can't imagine that
Hmm.
your average
Definitely.
Joe doesn't either understand this or doesn't want this, or is like, yo, just show me the games, because that's why I buy the box. I don't care about um, variable frequencies in GPU and CPU speed, or 12 channel SSDs. Because if there's one thing that really showed, is that Sony put a lot of custom work into this. They said that they took a really developer friendly approach. And like the SSD is the fastest thing possible right now. I think it's even faster than
Hmm.
SSDs available in PCs. Um, yes, it's super cool. It has a strange storage size, 825 gigabytes, which is really strange. The Xbox Series X
Yeah.
will have a terabyte. Um, so like
Yeah.
they build a lot of custom hardware, which is really cool. And in the end, it will benefit developers. But a lot of people are saying like, hey, but third parties won't be able to optimize it, because they'll eventually just do the general approach, and they won't play into the specific parts of the consoles. I see two hands raised. Who wants to go first?
Yeah. Maximilian, you go first.
Yeah, so I want to bring up a little thing that someone just made me realize a day ago, is that the 825 gigabyte storage in the PlayStation 5 is not going to be 825
Yeah,
for
that's true.
you, because
An
there's going
operating
to be
system.
the
Yeah.
OS running on it, and that means you're going to have less than that.
I think if you get
So
750, That's generous. Yeah.
It'll be generous.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's the other side. Like
I
they
think so
said
too.
that, and that's really cool. You can expand the storage by using an M.2 SSD, which is widely available. And the only requirement they have is that they're like, okay, but it needs to rival the speed of the internal drive. Otherwise, it's going to be a bottleneck. And to counteract it, they said, okay, we're going to test a lot of drives, and it'll probably be a little bit after launch, but we're going to test a lot of internal drives, and we're going to tell you which drives we recommend you to buy, because that's the best performance. And from that point of view, I'm like, hey, this is really cool. They also said, like, don't go hoarding M.2 drives right now because they might not work. So that's really nice that they're going to take that approach. Ismo, you had a.
Well, yeah, yeah. Thanks, John. Um, what I really find interesting is that you're focusing on the fact that Sony really did custom build the hardware in the PlayStation 5. Microsoft took the same approach, but they also said that they worked closely with, I think, SanDisk to build a custom SSD expansion hard drive,
Yeah.
which made your Xbox One Series X up to 2 terabytes of storage space, which
Oh,
was also
it's a
very
Yeah.
Seagate.
Yeah.
Seagate,
Yeah.
which is also yeah, everything they do is of course custom. The
Hmm.
GPU is custom, and what I don't know if it was the head engineer of Sony that said it, but they kind of defended the fact that on paper the PlayStation 5 isn't as powerful as the
Hmm.
Series X. He or one of the other engineers said, but it really matters what you do with the power you
Yeah.
have. And I really, it can go both ways. It can go um, the positive way, like, okay, we believe in Sony and their first party developers to pull everything out of the PlayStation
Hmm.
5, or it could be like, yeah, we know that we're a bit uh, that we are less powerful in comparison to the Series X, but yeah, we just have to make do. So I'm really wondering how what you already touched upon, or the third party developers will make use of trying to pull everything out of both the Series X and the PS5.
I think it's a valid point, and like I think the answer to that, at least from my point of view, will be two parts. One part is, for example, in the situation that we're right now, the series, the Xbox One X is faster than the PS4 Pro, but even besides that, we're still seeing that games on PlayStation look amazing. So if you grab a God of War, if you grab a Horizon Zero Dawn, I think both games, and I think maybe Horizon Zero Dawn even more, shows the immense possibility of what the PS4 can do or the Pro can do, because they're using checkerboard 4K, and it really, really looks nice. I think that with
Hmm.
Death Stranding, for example, is also a game that runs on the Decima engine. It is amazing. Maximilian, do you have something you want to add? I see you waving your hand.
Um, not, nah, man. I
Okay,
totally
so
agree.
yeah.
It's like, I mean, I mean, the only linchpin, of course, with the PlayStation 4 is that if you're playing all those fancy games, it makes your PlayStation sound
Ah, I
super
have a
weird.
solution for that, which I will share in a bit. Yeah.
But other than that, the thing about the power is something that I admire
Hmm.
a lot, because there are other in the past. This has been like Nintendo's all alma mater all along, is that just because you don't have the power to produce like the most fanciest of graphics doesn't necessarily mean that you have the what do you call it again, the worst
Hmm.
games or anything. Like, some of the best games were on DS, in my opinion. Like, at least when it comes especially to JRPGs, they had like some of the really groundbreaking stuff on there. But also, even like now, like if you look at Switch, it's not the strongest of the three current consoles. Yet for some reason, it's
I
selling like
would seriously
hotcakes.
pay top dollar to
So
get Zelda on PS4 or on PS5. Like if they brought it out and they said you have to pay $120 to play this game, I would say take my money, man, because that's, I'm gonna be honest, that's an amazing game. It'll
Yeah,
never
it looks
happen, but
amazing, and
that's why I'm hoping. That's
Oh,
why I'm
it'll never
hoping for
happen.
Horizon Zero Dawn 2. That's kind of like my Zelda. Um, but
Yeah.
also going into like the developers utilizing it, third parties, and this might sound like a really selfish answer, but if we like really look at it from a black and white point of view, I think is what we have now is like at the end of the day, the first parties will squeeze every drop of power out of the console, and they will truly show you why you need to have either a PS5 or a Series X, because they will use everything in there, the audio engine, the triggers, the variable frequencies, and all the bells and whistles. They'll show you like this is the reason why you need either a Series X or a PS5. As for third parties,
Mm.
I mean, generally people buy games on third parties. If, for example, let's take Call of Duty, I'm not going to buy Call of Duty on a PS5 or on a Series X because it's prettier on one of the two or it uses more of a feature set. I'm going to buy that game on the platform that has most of my friends on it because I want to play multiplayer. And of course, now with crossplay, maybe that argument is kind of fading away. The funny thing is I don't
let's
have
hope.
people, I don't know a lot of people that have an Xbox, so I'll still go with PlayStation. So like in the end, what will probably happen is I think that Red Dead Redemption 2 is a perfect example. That game runs in native 4K on Xbox One X, as Rockstar said, and on PS4 it's checkerboard. The game still looks amazing, and I still am enjoy. At least I enjoyed it when I was playing it. It's not like that I want to run out buy an Xbox One X because I really need that native 4K. So in the end of the day,
No,
developers might choose the most simple and easiest way, or third parties will do that. I'm completely fine with that. I don't buy my PlayStation for the third party games. I buy it for games as God of War, Uncharted, Horizon Zero Dawn, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us. Those are the reasons why I buy a certain platform. So if the third parties won't utilize it, yeah, okay, it's cool that it's on Xbox. It's prettier on Series X, but that's not a compelling argument for me to buy it because otherwise I would have bought a One X by now, and I haven't.
okay,
Yeah.
I
Fair.
understand that. But the most interesting part for us as consumer for now is going to be what's going to be the
Oh
pricing
my
though,
god.
because
Ooh.
that's going to
Ooh.
be that's going to be, yeah, nobody knows, but that's going to be very decisive whether um yeah, which one of the two will come on top, because that was the whole, I feel that that was the biggest mistake Microsoft made the last gen, is to put it $100 above the PlayStation 4, but make the
You mean
argument.
outside the fact that they force you to buy a Connect with it as well?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. They said it's $100 more, but you're gonna get the most advanced camera in there, and
Xbox
nobody uses
on.
it. I did enjoy that though. I had to connect, and it was like it was amazing that when you get home, you just said Xbox on, and then you heard bloop in your living room, and you see your TV turning on, and you can sit down and game
I
right away.
remember
But nowadays, it
I remember at the first Microsoft event that they showed off the Xbox One. Patrick Sutherland, who doesn't work anymore, he doesn't work at EA anymore, but he used to work at EA. He was this kind of like the Herman Hulst of EA, so managing all those
yeah, yeah.
studios. And he was showing Battlefield
Mm.
4 for the first time, running on Xbox One X, and the demo froze. So a lot of people in the audience were booing, and then one guy just shouted, "Xbox off!" And luckily
Yeah.
they quickly switched. I don't think they had a connect into it, but they switched to a different demo and they showed it. But the fact that people were mocking that so badly was like, oh man, this is gonna end so badly for them. And then Patrick Sutherland was getting annoyed,
Yeah,
so he was like, "Hey man, shut up, man. Hey, be quiet." It was like being that to the audience. I'm like, whoa, that's not really cool to say, man.
yeah, but that presentation was, I think, top three worst reviews of consoles in history of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, it was. They were
Hmm.
recovering from the Don Metric era, so yeah. I think pricing is like
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
important. To be honest, because the PS5 is slower on paper, I think this might be able be an option for them to bring the price down. So I don't think it's going to be 499. I think it's going to be 449 at the max. I think they're aiming for 399. I think the Xbox One is going of Series X is going to be 499 because of all the sheer power in there. And yeah, I mean they can afford to sell it at a loss, but I don't think they want to. Um,
Yeah,
Mm,
we'll see.
Sony said that they were doing their darnest not to sell out at a loss. So I honestly don't think that it's gonna be 449. I honestly think that the PlayStation 5 is gonna be for
they said that
499,
Mark
and that
Cerny
the
said that they're going to sell it
and
at
that
a
the,
price that consumers are willing to pay for it. And I think that Microsoft showed that
yeah,
That's
the,
499.
499.
499 is the
Yeah,
limit. 499. If people are willing to buy Xbox One X at 499, then I'm pretty sure they'll be willing to pay for next gen for the same cost.
And they already broke down all the parts, right? I think IGN or Kotaku did a article on that. How much would it cost to build a custom built PC with these components? And just with the GPU and CPU, they were already on 700 something
yeah,
dollars, and then without the audio board, without the
yeah.
casing. So uh, a custom built
Yeah, but that,
PC of this specs would be around $1,500 to $2,000.
I
So
know.
yeah, but that's always the case because it's PC and the parts
Yeah,
are
but like
different.
if you build
true,
some,
but
So
people,
Gizmo is right. I mean,
if yeah, I mean if you're going for something similar in power,
like I
sure.
built a PC last summer. I said this before, and I can run everything at 4K 60 at the cost of it costing me 1,500 euros. So like, and that's something people
Yeah.
forget, which is really good argument Gizmo makes is that people should realize that even if it's 499, it's a bargain for what you're getting because it's
yeah,
either that or 1,500 euros on a custom built game PC
yeah,
Exactly.
without a
and a
screen.
mouse and a keyboard. Yeah, like I bought a
Yeah,
separate screen. It's also like $300, so it's almost like $1,800.
yeah, and a
Yeah.
TV you already have. So
Yeah,
that's people. I think it's gonna be both gonna be around 499, maybe
I
475.
think
But
Sony's going to announce
people,
pricing after Microsoft because they're going to wait for Microsoft to do their event, and then hopefully they'll try to
Mm.
stab them. Like they're like, oh yeah, we're going to do this. You do 499, we do 499 or whatever. I think it's going to be something like that again.
yeah, but that
Yeah.
that could show also a bit like a sign of weakness. Like, oh, let's see what the
Yeah,
big guy's gonna do. Again,
Well,
like
I
it's
guess
it's a it's a reaction instead of a preemptive something. It would paint Sony a better picture if they said, okay, this is what it is. We're gonna show a tech demo. We're gonna show the games, and this is the price. And then, like what Microsoft did, like come out of the come out of the blue with an
yeah.
announcement, and that would give them so much more positive headlines instead of like, oh, look at Sony doing their thing
Yep.
after Microsoft
Yep. And
again.
the only talk of the town is now is the SSD. I mean, like, yeah, we know that there's a super fast SSD in it, but I mean, I read an article yesterday in which they
Yeah,
literally said a developer said this SSD is so fast it might even help us prevent crunch. Or like, what? Or make crunch less. I'm like, okay, that's pretty far fetched, but
yeah,
apparently in the later stages,
I want to
yeah,
know how
so
that
what
works.
he explained was in the later stages of gaming, when you're almost done with game development, you focus a lot of resources on optimization and bug solving and stuff like that. And apparently, in that process, because that you're focused on optimization, a lot of bugs appear. So because they don't have to spend so much time optimizing the game because the SSD is so fast, it will save them time because they don't have to focus a lot of bug fixing related to optimization. Like I
hmm
understand
Yeah.
that it sounds really utopian, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I
well, we'll
mean, I
see.
guess I mean, we'll see, of course, but let's not forget we are still in a really weird place. So we don't even know how much of an impact this has on their marketing time frame.
Probably.
Um, we don't know if I'm assuming that it has a big enough impact. They might delay certain announcements because they don't have the people to, plan for it. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess time will tell.
So we spent a lot of time talking about this PlayStation thing.
Yeah,
I think this will head.
it's a
Yeah.
lot. It's of course a lot
Yeah.
of info, and it's gonna be the talk of the town for the next
Maybe,
couple of
maybe
months,
also
of course. So
because
it's not
there's not a
strange.
lot going on in the game industry right now. So then, like, we grasp this. this next gen thing like really with six hands because we really want a new
Uh,
console. And I mean,
mm,
maybe when we get to May or like even next month, Final Fantasy comes out, so that'll be a next topic. And then the month
Oh,
after, Last
oh
of Us
yeah.
comes out, and we'll
yeah.
talk about that. And the month after that, we get Ghost of Tsushima. So like slowly, bit by bit, we are getting these good games. It's like they're
Yeah.
rationing
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But let's continue onwards. Oh wait, there is one more thing that we forgot to talk about, which is probably something that is very in contention with Xbox in general. What PlayStation seems to be fumbling at is backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
Because
Mm,
there was a lot of confusion about the backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 5, the way they explained it, and what Mark Cerny was talking about, that they were optimizing the top 100 games to
thousand.
be used for backwards
Yeah, so I
compatibility. You
think
said
that that's
100.
kind of the problem. They kind of shot themselves in their own foot. Is that because they built so much custom hardware? So they literally said that the SSD is so fast that it's instant. So when you fast travel, it's so fast that you might not even notice that you fast travel because it's in the blink of an eye, and that they might actually have to slow it down so that you realize that you're fast traveling. Otherwise, it's like you're teleporting, or what was it called in Dragon Ball Z? Instant
But that's
translocation.
that's the whole idea,
Yeah, but
right?
like,
Uh,
I
That's
but
the whole idea of fast
yeah,
traveling.
we're not
yeah, but the
used to that.
problem seems to be that that interferes with backwards
Yeah, so
compatibility
like,
of games. So unless they're
yeah,
optimized, that they're saying. But then they made a blog post update where they said, "Oh, what Mike Cerny means that we've been testing games and like at the very least the top 100 most played games will work at launch, and we're gonna make sure that at least
Or a
the
thousand.
majority of the
Yeah.
library of PlayStation 4 works
yeah,
on day one, but they might be still working on optimization in
yeah,
between that."
yeah. So
So
like,
okay, that's
yeah,
cool.
I mean, I understand that it looks strange because Microsoft has said, "Oh, we have backwards compatibility." We don't know if Microsoft has the same issues or not. Um,
No, I
I
don't
don't
think so
think
because
so.
they already have experience. They had backwards compatibility on the 360 and they developed it into the Xbox One with the 360 games
yeah,
in it. So the step
Exactly.
for Microsoft to do backwards compatibility on the Series X is not that big as it is
but
for
like
Sony.
they also
The
have
only
an
thing that Sony
SSD,
has was
right? Won't
PlayStation Now.
won't that SSD
Yeah,
cause the same issues on the Xbox that it's also causing on the PlayStation?
I, d-
I
I
don't
don't think
think
so because they're doing emulation.
What you mean, Sony?
that and
No, Microsoft is doing emulation.
Yeah,
Like all the games that all the Xbox 360 games and
yeah.
Xbox original games
Oh
are
yeah, yeah, I know. But
emulated.
like the
yeah.
Xbox One games in particular, that's what I'm talking about. Like, won't those games suffer
No.
from the same issue? Because basically, what the PlayStation 5 is going to do is going to run at different clock speeds. So either you're going to have a PS4, you're going to basically have a PS4 Pro and a PS4 in the same box, because the processor is going to just throttle down to match that speed. Um, so it's not going to.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that's not how emulation works. Emulation just runs it at the speeds the software runs at a speed that is
Yeah, that's what
required for
PlayStation
that
is also
game.
going to do.
It might be a bit faster so that loading times are shorter, but other than that, it's not messing with the game code. Like they might do some software optimization on the graphic side, which what they talked about. Even Xbox original games will have HDR support from the get go, but that's all done within software. So you don't have to worry about it going too fast or not being able to run. Make the they just have to make what's the dang it, what's the technical term for it again? They make a casing
Framework.
around the game so that it thinks that it's running. Thank you,
Yeah.
a framework, so that it thinks that it's running on an original Xbox. Like if you've done backwards compatibility on an Xbox on an Xbox One before, you'll see that it opens the blade system from the 360 or the
Oh
interface
wow,
of the original Xbox when you're
that's
playing
nice.
such games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
And
So
that's the thing that
so they're
Sony doesn't
fine.
have. Yeah.
It's Sony that needs to work
yeah,
on
that's
that part so that we can finally get PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 games and I can finally finish Tales of Destiny.
I think Sony is working with
I
all the thousands of people they have. just to fulfill your specific wish.
Yeah, I
They
think
better.
so too.
They probably listen to this podcast and
No,
like, whoa, this guy,
oh my god!
we need to fix this for this guy. I mean, he needs to finish one of his JRPGs. We need to do this. Sony assemble, and then bam.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I think that what Michael's um, wish is that PlayStation 1, PS2, and PS3 games going to be backwards compatible. I think that's going to be a very big stretch for Sony to do at the moment. They don't have any experience with that at all.
Yep, they put it all in PlayStation now.
Yeah, and that worked. Well,
Yeah, they said they're gonna do more on PS now. So yeah, I mean, like that's not one of their best services, to be honest.
no, but yeah,
Yeah.
then again, we will see how they will. Yeah, I'm gonna say recover from this marketing mayhem they had
I think
created
they'll recover
themselves.
because they'll show off Horizon Zero Dawn 2 and they'll show off some other stuff, maybe Gran Turismo 6. So, like, from a gaming point of view, I think they're secure and locked down. I just think that from a features point of view, they need to, yeah,
Step
I
up
mean,
the game.
like, they need to show quick resume like Microsoft has. They need to show some feature in there that's going to be like, okay, wow, this is super cool. This is the reason why I want a PlayStation. Because the games, I mean, like, they're fine with that. I mean, I don't worry about that. But it's like, they can't say, like, it's a gaming box and you can play games on it. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. And you have
Yeah.
Netflix on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Well, assuming that they'll have
oh, they
Netflix
probably
on it.
will. They're actually doing 4K UHD Blu rays as well on this one, which they didn't do on the PS4.
Yeah,
Pro.
or to be more specific, on the
But the
PS4
PS4
Pro.
doesn't
Yeah.
support. Yeah.
Yeah, because Xbox One X was the one that supported 4K, and
Yeah,
the One
yeah,
S
yeah.
is the one that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
happy days to those guys. I think Gizmo had the one.
Yeah, all fine, all five of them.
Yeah, indeed. Yay. Good for you. Gizmo, I think you had one last article around Formula One and sports in general.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like the rest of the world, we are in quarantine. My bad. And that doesn't only affect the gaming world; it also affects the sporting
Yep.
world. And some sports have found a way to tackle this issue by not doing it in real life, but to simulate it in game. And yeah, um, and one of the articles I found about that was that past weekend Formula One simulated a race in Bahrain with a couple of Formula One racers and Formula Two racers to just give those people, the fans of the Formula One, something to look forward to. And I believe that they did it for the NBA and Football Association as
Yep.
well. So um,
Yeah, that's
it
pretty cool.
yeah, that something that we play normally in our daily lives has been implemented into a larger stadium.
Yeah. I'm curious about one thing though. So those simulated races, are they just like friendlies, or do they actually count towards the season?
I
Because
don't think
No,
they're
they're
they are
friendlies,
friendlies.
pretty
yeah. Because I
accurate.
think if they count it towards the
Yeah,
Ah,
season, like
that's a
not all the
shame.
drivers are in there. I mean, yesterday it was Nico
yeah,
Hulkenberg, Lando Norris, Stoffel Van Dorn that I saw, and there were also some esports
Mm.
racers in there.
yeah.
Ah, okay, yeah. Then
And
it obviously
some
doesn't
random
count.
some random people like Liam Payne, who's a singer, and
Wow.
yeah,
Oh
a
yeah.
golfer
Yeah.
and a bike gold medalist, like people who just enjoyed playing the game, just joined in. But it was fun to see that the professional races also participated in something they don't
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, it was a bit strange, but at the same time, because the the way the race was, is it was not that the guy driving the Mercedes was number one. At least when I looked at it, it was not happening. It was actually that the guy that was driving the Mercedes was really down on the rankings. So it's not like that. So it's, of course, the car matters, but if you're not as good as a driver, then it doesn't matter if you have the fastest car. If you suck at driving, you still won't be able to pull in first.
Yeah,
So it was cool to see that, and that's also with esports in general. I've watched the Formula One esports things. Is that like sometimes teams like Williams actually win a race, whereas Williams in real Formula One is maybe like, unfortunately, the worst team to be at right now from a car point of view. So it's really cool to see that balance completely changes.
Yeah.
it really gets it really puts you down on how good
Yeah,
you are in reacting to certain situations and not being limited by your car.
yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. I hope they keep doing this stuff and it leads to world peace. So, A plus on that.
Oh, aren't you a Miss Pageant, Miss World, Miss Universe?
This
I want you
continually,
world
yeah.
peace.
What? World peace is a good
Yep.
aspiration to have. Yeah. Anyway, there's a few things that I do want to touch base on before we move on to what we've been playing. Um, so, for the longest while, up until actually really recently, um, GameStop in the US has been open during a pandemic, which is bad considering the fact that, that's how pandemics get worse. Um, but finally, finally, someone actually had the good sense to tell them that, you know what, just just close. People could go home. You can buy your games online. You can download them. Doesn't matter. You can smoke signal them. You'll still get them somehow. So they finally closed. They're finally closing GameStop.
Yeah,
So
they
that's
consider
great.
themselves essential
Um,
retail. I
yeah.
mean,
Oh,
I would
good
do
grief,
that
no.
too.
Like,
Who
I love gaming, but
Yeah,
please don't do that. You're just giving
but maybe that's
gaming a
because
bad
they're on the
name.
verge of
And I
bankruptcy.
and I,
uh,
I mean, I know they're desperate, but come on, man, show some goodwill at least.
and didn't
But
they
yeah,
have some backlash from their employees as well? Like, okay,
oh, they get backlash from everybody.
we're fine being open, but then just provide us with the necessary precautions so
Tools, yeah.
You know,
we don't get sick. But they didn't.
but
Which
this
they
sounds
didn't
like
do.
Reggie Fils-Aimé just stepped onto the Titanic, thinking, "Oh, this is going to be a quick breeze to New York," and somebody forgot to tell him, "Captain, we've just hit an iceberg. We're going
Well,
down." And he's like, "Oh crap! I just stepped on the wrong boat." And the captain always goes down with the ship. So, and then
I mean,
uh,
he's on the board of directors, so he's not doing the day-to-day stuff, but I'm pretty sure that he's willing to give advice when advice is needed.
yeah, like close
So,
up.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
At least they're closing, so hopefully that will at least hamper the spread more. There are some stores that still refuse to close, but
they're dumb
you know,
as.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
I think let's end it on that one. There was more that I wanted to talk about, but otherwise, this is going to be a really long episode. Plus, we can save it for the next time. So stick around, guys, and we'll be right back with what we've been playing.
alrighty, welcome back, everybody, to our second segment. What we have been playing. I'll ask Gizmo in this case, since he's our special guest, to start us off. What have you
I
been playing?
I feel so special. Thank you, Sean. Thank you.
Oh.
Um, well, the funny thing is, even though we're on lockdown, I haven't played a lot, but the game I have been playing is Jedi Fallen Order,
Yay. Nice.
and it's
Nice.
it's really good. I think Respawn did a very good job creating a new world within an existing world, and I think this is going to be rare, but I think I'm going to applaud EA for letting Respawn do their thing without um,
That doesn't
getting
happen.
involved. Yeah,
That
it
does
doesn't
not
happen a
happen
lot,
often.
but that's something that Respawn developers said. Like, okay, EA came to us and said, like, you do you. We don't infer too much, but we just want to have you have the game finished by then. But they didn't push for in-game currency or pay to win tactics, and I really love that, and it really shows that it's kind of a pet project for Respawn Entertainment, and
Hmm.
it's a good story. It's not the best story though, but it's a good story, and yeah, they did a very good job implementing a lot of Star Wars canon into the game we're in. That's really good, and
What do you
I
think of the
can't wait.
gameplay?
It's smooth, even though I die a lot, but it's smooth.
I
Um,
heard they compared with Dark Souls a lot.
yeah,
I
Have
haven't
you
played
played?
Dark Souls, but
Yeah, but have you played Dark Souls, Gizmo?
I've touched up on a little bit, but yeah, it's.
Would you compare it to that then?
I think I would compare it more to The Witcher, as in how the
oh,
flow goes, um, uh,
I like
especially
The
The
Witcher.
Witcher 2, um, because you really have to time it perfectly to not like when you play the game, you have the easy guys like the stormtroopers, and then you have the shock troopers, and so forth and so forth. And the further you get, the harder the troopers get, and then you really have to be on point with dodging and using your powers, and that's really it really ties into how The Witcher 2 had a game the fight flow. So I don't think it's maybe it's a Dark Souls, but I haven't played Dark Souls a lot. I've played The Witcher more, and I was like, this is more like The Witcher. And I think a lot of developers like that kind of uh, fighting sequences because Assassin's Creed stepped onto that bandwagon as well with Assassin's Creed Origins and Assassin's Creed
Hmm.
Odyssey,
Yeah,
um, which really benefited the gameplay in those last two games from the Assassin's Creed franchise. I think that that the way how The Witcher set it up is going to be the 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 way forward for a lot of adventure action games.
Cool.
I think at least that's I haven't played it a lot, Fallen Order, but like the thing that popped into my mind was it really feels like Uncharted slash God of War meets Dark Souls. And maybe it's also
Mm.
because the game director made God of War 3. So uh, that might tie into it as well.
That helps.
Yeah, but it just really just feels so nice. And as Gizmo said, it's so smooth. I mean, like you can use the force powers and you can use the lightsaber, you can deflect stuff. You really feel like a Jedi. They'll nailed the feeling around being a Jedi. And I really love that. It's unfortunately that I lend it out to someone else that I can't play it right now. Otherwise, I would have been playing it right now. And I asked Gizmo specifically not to mention it too much because I'm not as far as he
You
is.
don't want to. You don't want
Yeah, I
No,
don't
spoilers.
want spoilers,
no
so I'm kind
spoilers
of
for now.
limiting him. So I see that it's
Yeah.
really difficult for him
Yeah,
to
but see,
like
that's
be.
why I asked him like, what's the gameplay like? You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, because I know how
Yeah.
how enthusiastic he can be. Like he's really limited right now because he's like,
Yeah,
ah, crap, I can't spoil it. So that's on me. Sorry for that.
Yeah, that's fine. But
but
yeah, it's
definitely
great to
worth
hear
the
that
game.
you're.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah,
you
I mean, it's great to hear that you're enjoying the game.
have you played something else?
Well,
You have a Switch, so it's okay to mention Switch games.
no, I had my Xbox connected to my TV again, not a
Okay.
Switch. And I've tried to get into Shadow of War again, but
Ah, I love that game.
yeah, it's
Wait, Shadow
it's
of War or Shadow of Mordor is the one that you love?
I love them
no, I
both, but I don't like get a gripe with the second one just because
yeah
of the ending.
yeah
Oh, okay.
no spoilers for me, please, because
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not there yet. But yeah, I've already had like 80 hours into the game, and I'm like still
Holy shit!
less than half
Dang.
less than halfway there because I'm really
What?
exploring the whole thing, and I'm trying to grind myself up onto a level, and then I feel then I see that I still really bad at the game and still not powerful enough. So I'm not. I don't want to.
Wow.
I'm gonna play Fallen Order.
Wow.
But yeah, that's
That's a strange approach. Like grind
This
yourself to a high level. I'm still not good enough. Okay, let me play
okay,
something
never
else.
mind.
Yeah, it's like it's not good enough. No, but
Are you
yeah,
Yeah.
like Sean said, Shadow of Mordor didn't give me the power of like I'm really powerful, and Fallen Order did that. So I was like, I just want to be
Yeah.
like the baddest mother effer in this world, and Shadow of Mordor didn't give me that feeling. So I switched back to Fallen Order,
Hmm.
Mm.
Are you playing it on um what's
the
that service?
old Xbox One X.
Games for Xbox or
No, no,
I think it was called.
Game Pass?
no, I just have it physically. So
Oh, okay. You
I
don't
don't
have Game
have
Pass?
no. I'm still I still have to do that though, but I'm one of those people who really likes the games physical. I really want to have the
Ah,
box. I really want to have the CD and those stuff. And
He always buys the, at least for his videos, he used to do that. Buy like the ultra edition when he gets the statue and stuff like that. It's really cool.
yeah,
oh, okay, cool.
that's like
I mean,
my one
in
once in a
in
year.
these times, I think you might want to try it though.
Eh,
It'll broaden your horizons. It sure did mine.
when it comes to indie games, I get that because one of the games I'm really looking forward to is Ori and the Will of Wisp
Ooh,
for the Xbox.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I saw the
so
reviews, man. That
yeah,
game is gorgeous.
it's the first one was breathtaking, and I just can't wait to get my hands on the second one.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Cool.
even though in these times I'm just playing 2 games.
That's okay. It's not like I've been playing a lot.
No, well, SeanTemplar, what have you been playing?
So I finally finished Death Stranding.
Ooh,
Good
Yeah,
for
tell
you.
us about it.
after 42 hours, my journey as a mailman came to an end.
Aw.
Um,
Okay, you make it sound like your character died.
no. So I still stand by that it's my game of the year of 2019, and I didn't expect it, and it's because there weren't a lot of great games in 2019, at least not that I can think of. But because it's just so vague, and I love that because I was constant. And I mentioned this before. I was constantly motivated by figuring out why it was so vague.
Hmm.
I do get some answers towards the end, some twists in there that I didn't see coming, and at the same time, I kind of don't understand. It's almost like an episode of Westworld that you have to watch 10 times before you understand it. Um, so the game is based around 15 chapters. The last 2 chapters are more like cutscenes or like small tidbits of gameplay in there and a lot of watching. It gives you a lot more background on why certain things happen. Because, for example, when you have your BB and you go to your private room to rest, when you head out into the world, you kind of sync up with your BB by plugging in some cable that's connected to you to the BB, and then you get like flashbacks of what the BB used to see before he met you, and that's where you kind of see Mads Mikkelsen's character Cliff, but you're always like seeing it from BB's point of view. So you're in this tank and you're looking at what's supposed to be your father. So it's really, really vague, and they explain that more when you get to the end of the game. There are some boss battles in there. Just before I got to my sort of my final destination, I had this huge whale boss battle, which was kind of strange but cool at the same time. Yeah, so for some reason, a lot of the boss battles are like animals. So it's like a strange mutated tiger or lion, and it's like this huge whale. This was like a flying super whale, so it's really strange. Yeah, I don't know where the inspiration came for that, but it's really cool. I don't want to touch a lot about what it's because it's kind of spoilerish in there, but I would definitely recommend people to play it. As I've said it before, I bought it for $30. Is well spent those $30. I think I would have bought it for $60 if I had known what it is now. So like when it came out, I said like I don't know if I want to spend $60 on it because you don't really get a sense for what it is, and you hear everybody talking about it's a mailman, you're a mailman, but like there's more to it. Um,
Yeah, but it was a Kojima game, right? So you eventually you knew it's going to be a strange game, but it was going to
yeah,
be breathtaking when it
yeah.
comes to
Hmm.
views, but
Oh
also
my
like
god,
twists
yeah,
and turns. Yeah, Kojima
yeah,
is known for those at least those 3 things. So
yeah. Yeah, it's more that I think that I expected it to be kind of like a horror Metal Gear, and it's
Mm.
anything but that. So there's not a lot of emphasis on combat, but more on exploration. And yes, it is amazing. You can literally go everywhere. So um, you can go either, and that's so cool about the game. There's such a big variety in environments. So you'll have these lush green environments. You have these really great gritty rocky environments. You have snow covered mountains that you can go up into. You have this acidic tar pit. You have ravines that you can go in, and you can literally go and stand everywhere. And that's what makes it so amazing. There are basically no boundaries to where you can go.
Reminds me of
That's
Zelda.
it in a way is
Yeah,
Zelda. Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
It is kind of like Breath of the Wild from what
Yeah,
I've seen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
yeah, and
how,
it's like a
how
really, really pretty Breath of the Wild.
yeah. So you have your Breath of the Wild for the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, but it's still not the same, you know. I like I like more combat, so I played that. I've started playing Days Gone because I bought Days Gone last year. Played like an hour, and then other stuff came up, and I didn't play it, so I started all over again. Um, I'm in, I think, 10, 20 hours. I don't know. Um, it's a fun game. I also bought that game for $30. Um, there are some small bits there that annoy me. So, for example, um, your character, and I think that's as far as the story unfolds, you'll learn more about it. But your character is really this there's something wrong, and he has all this rage in himself or all this frustration, and you really notice that. So like when you're on your bike, you have a walkie-talkie with you at all times. So you work for different camps. As you discover them, you can do jobs for them, such as bounty hunting or main missions, and then they radio you in. And every time this certain guy radios you in, your character is acting really sarcastic, really frustrated towards him. And we're like, okay, but this is getting pretty boring if you constantly keep um, responding like this. It is cool that there are freakers, so kind of like they're not really zombies, but they look like zombies, and there are hordes, so are literally hundreds of these freakers together, and they can swarm you. So sometimes you're just walking around or driving around on your bike, and then all of a sudden you don't expect it. You see this huge swarm of freakers coming at you, and then like, you can either run away or you can try to confront them. I've tried to confront one horde, and I barely won. It's really hard to take them on. It kind of feels like World War Z when the swarm comes at you. So it's really really creepy. Um, the missions are a little bit repetitive, as far as I've noticed. So like the side missions, such as bounty hunting, is basically drive up to one point, kill this guy, bring proof of that you killed the guy back to us, and that's basically it. Or go find me an item in that village or there because I need it for something in the game. So in some cases, the missions are a bit repetitive, the side missions, and the characters are a little bit bland. There was this part in which I was just driving around and I heard somebody screaming, "Help me! Help me!" And it was this guy stuck in a car being attacked by these freakers. So I saved the guy, and his face was so expressionless. It felt like a character out of
Generic.
Skyrim. You know, like, oh no, your mother died. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so bad. Oh, so like the guy looked so expressionless, like. Wow, I actually regret saving you. If I could, I would put a bullet in your brain right now because you're just so you're not worth saving your life, you know? Yeah, I'm pretty harsh.
Why?
Yeah. You gotta make it worth my time to save your ass. I mean, come on, that's the apocalypse, man.
Be
Yeah,
pretty at least, right?
yeah,
Oh
yeah. Like,
man.
be grateful. It's like, oh, thank you so much for saving me. Which camp
Yeah,
should I go to right now? Okay, I'll go to that camp. Thank you. Like, no,
dude.
there's no thing in there. There's no gratitude in there.
Uh,
I'm also, and I think we mentioned this in the last regular episode that Warzone
Mhm.
was coming out.
Yeah.
So Warzone dropped. In the 2 weeks that it's out, it has accumulated over 30 million users, which is pretty unique. It's a free to play standalone game, so you can play it on everything. Oh, do tell us what's bothering you.
Yeah. See, that's the fun thing that they don't tell you about the game. They say it's a standalone game, which it is. Like, if you download it, you don't have to do anything else. But they also put on the page that it's a 10 gigabyte download, which it's not, because it's the full game, including Warzone. So if you just want to play Warzone and you don't have the space for it, like I did, you have to clean up your PlayStation 4 space so that you can download the nearly 100 gigabytes of the whole game, including Warzone.
Boo
I
hoo.
get I get that, but like you're always complaining that your PS4 hard drive is full because you still live with the stock 500 gigabytes and you need to upgrade it.
I know. I've been looking into it.
Yeah,
But
I know.
I'll order one
you have the
when the new
time
one's here.
now.
Yeah, it's not like
I
you have
have the
something
time to
better
do
to
so.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I'm
maybe.
still not sure if I'm gonna get an external or an internal one. I'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, Warzone's really fun. It's been a long time since I played a battle royale game, and it's really fun.
That I will admit, it is really fun.
Yeah, we even played a couple of games together, and
Hmm.
it's really fun. It feels like a complete experience.
It
Just to
is.
be, I don't have Warzone. I don't play Call of Duty. But do you need a PS Plus subscription for it or not?
On the
So
PlayStation,
apparently,
no.
no,
But on Xbox, you do need Xbox Live
dude.
Gold. That's always with these things. It's a
That
good
is so
time to be a
weird.
Microsoft gamer.
Yeah, or PC, man, because you never
Yeah,
have to pay
But
for a
yeah,
yeah,
PC.
but yeah,
But
they had, of course, until I think 2017. Call of Duty was always an Xbox exclusive, first in, first game, and whatever. And
yep,
then they switched to PlayStation. So if it was this, it was the same situation 4 or 5 years ago, it would have been like, yeah, it's free on Xbox, but you have to pay for PlayStation. So
yep,
it's apples and whatever.
yep.
But I
But
think I'm gonna
anyways,
download it. I'm
yeah.
gonna download it. I think next of the coming days, and I'm gonna see if I can enjoy it.
If you're
Even though I'm
gonna
not
play on
a
PlayStation, let us know. We can maybe form a squad because
yeah.
it's
you know
really
what?
fun. It's
Even if
complete.
you even if you download it on Xbox, let's try it that way and see if that works.
I
Because
mean,
we've
crossplay.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen crossplay work with PC gamers. I don't think we've ever seen Xbox
And
players. At least,
PlayStation.
even if we did, we wouldn't have noticed because
Maybe you
they're not
can
on
mix it
our
up.
team. But yeah,
You can play on
I'm curious if that would
PS4.
work.
Wait, what could do is like you play on PS4, I'll play on PC, and then Gizmo can play on Xbox and see if that works.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
if not, then we switch back to PlayStation 4 because yeah.
Yeah. But
exactly.
yeah, it's a really fun game. It's really complete. It's been a while since I've played Battle Royale, and it's like you can, you hate it, but it's really fun. If you die, you go to the gulag, and then you have
I
like
don't
this.
hate it. I just thought it was like this weird thing. I think it's a really good concept. I just thought it was really funny when I first heard it.
A friend of mine doesn't call it the gulag; he called it the goulash. I'm like, that's something else, man. That's like a dish, I believe.
It's a dish,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
That's the
pretty. Yeah,
Hungarian
I'm
meat
pretty
dish.
sure that's a bitch. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so you can.
delicious though, but
I've never had it.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
you can
I'll have
go
to
into
try
the
some.
gulag, and you can if you have a one-on-one battle, and if you win that one-on-one battle, you can go out into the game. So kind of you respawn. Besides that, your friends can respawn you if they have enough money.
Hmm.
The gulag closes after 20 minutes. I found out today. So
Oh, okay. There's a set time limit,
yeah,
not a
yeah.
specific. Oh, but by 20 minutes, then the circle is like really
It's
small,
really
right?
small, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's cool that you can bring loadouts into the game. So if you customize your loadout that you use in regular multiplayer, you can carry this over to the Warzone. You just have to have $6,000 in money, and then you can do a loadout drop, and then you can just pick your loadout, get all your perks, your weapons, customization, stuff like that. Um, it's really nice. Um, it feels like Call of Duty. For me, it's a little bit of adjustment because I only play hardcore, and with hardcore, it's almost one shot, one kill. So
Mhm.
here I have to keep on firing until I know that the guy's dead, instead of shooting him twice and think, "Oh, no, I got him."
oh, okay.
And yeah, I've also played it on PC. It looks it looks good on PlayStation, but on PC, it's like, oh my god, 4K, 60 FPS. Oh my god, it looks so pretty. Yeah.
Better than that dude from Days Gone.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They should have asked me to be that. I mean, I could have be like, "Yeah, thank you so much for saving me. Oh, I'm so grateful." Stuff like that instead of, "Oh, thank you. To which camp should I go? Oh, I'll head to that camp now." And on that note, what have you been playing, Maximilian? Enlighten us.
Yes. Well, we know.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try and keep it as brief as possible because otherwise we'll be here till next week. But
You know
as I
what? I
said,
don't understand. How is it possible that you can talk about one game for so long? I've never understood that.
Hey man, it's if the game's good, the game's good.
Yeah, but
Then
like
you
you
can
can
get the
talk about it
maximum out
for
of it.
10 minutes, and then it's like, but you can like if you can talk to about this game for like hours, I'm like, whoa, that's really
If we wouldn't stop you, there would be no end to this show.
infinity.
Yeah, that's why we have time limits. But
Yes,
before my time limit runs out, as I said before in the news segment, I was able to get Animal Crossing a few days earlier. So that means that I got an additional 3 days on most people who got it on Friday because they either downloaded the game or ordered it online. Um, so yeah, I've been playing it for 5 days now. I'm on day 5 and I'm just loving it. Like it's so much fun to just walk around your island and chop trees and gather fruit and mingle with the animals. But with it being on Switch right now, you can play it on your TV. So it's so pretty. Oh my goodness, it's the prettiest Animal Crossing. Considering where Animal Crossing started from as a port of a N64 game to GameCube, yeah, you can imagine how blocky that game looked, and it looked super blocky for years until the 3DS version, which was not blocky but still a low resolution, and now we have it in full glorious HD 1080p, and it's so pretty and it's so relaxing. Just like whenever I jump into a session of Animal Crossing, it's 4 hours later because
Maybe
I
you can
am
tell us what Animal Crossing is basically about because I've never played a game.
me
okay.
neither.
So for the people that don't know what Animal Crossing is a life sim game where you you're this you're a villager that moves into this village that is populated by animals, and you just move there to live your life. So you can do whatever you want in the game. You can chill out. You can catch bugs. You can um, go fishing. You can chop down trees. You can make your town look nice. You are in indentured servitude to a tanuki called Tom Nook,
What is
who
that? I have no idea what you just said.
you don't know what you don't know what a tanuki is.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a raccoon dog. They're very common in Japan. So, like, if you've played at the very
Mario?
least Super Mario Brothers 3, the Tanuki suit, that's where that's from.
It's like with
So
the foxy tail. Is that it?
it's with the raccoon tail, yeah.
Not that, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Ah,
So
The one that
yeah,
makes them fly,
he's
right?
yeah, the one that makes you
Yeah.
fly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
That
you know.
one. Yeah. Okay.
Um
That's
do
like a
Tanukis
raccoon.
fly?
well, no, not really, only in Super Mario. Not in Animal Crossing because this one is an actual Tanuki who just um he started off as a slumlord, to put it mildly, but in over the years and over the games, he's been more friendlier and he's become like this entrepreneur. So this is this deserted island getaway package, and you all arrive on this island, and it's a deserted island, so you have to set up a tent where you're going to be living, um, and you have to set up for the other villagers as well. There are two additional animal villagers that come along with you in the beginning, and it's up to you to make the island more livable. Yeah, you can dig around for fossils, um, and you can just do whatever you want. Do it at your own pace. You don't have to speed it up like some people do. I just do it day by day, because it uses a real time clock. So if it's 5 o'clock here, it's 5 o'clock in the game. Which, by the way, sunrise in Animal Crossing and sunset in Animal Crossing New Horizons is really pretty. Like it looks like the oranges of the sunrise, and like the sunrise is very gradually as well, like in real life. So it has that for it.
So you don't have to go
Um,
outside anymore at all to experience
no, I
outside
mean,
life.
dang it. Why you say that? But yeah, I mean, you don't have to.
It
You can
sounds so
experience this in Animal
romantic.
Crossing. Um, but yeah, the fun thing, of course, is that you can open the gates to your town, and people can actually fly in on a plane and come and visit you at your time. So I've had friends come over, um, sharing their stuff with me, and just talking and just asking each other, how have you been holding up during this quarantine stuff? And oh yeah, I got this animal, and they want this furniture, and I got this recipe for a new furniture, and what furniture do you have? What food do you have? And yeah, what up, Gizmo?
How do you need a recipe for furniture? Normally,
Because
you
in
need like a how-to guide.
well, I say a recipe, but yeah, the appropriate term is DIY instructions, because for the first time ever you can actually make your own furniture in Animal Crossing. In the past you always had to buy it, and the the furniture changes every day in the store. But now, besides that, you can actually make your own furniture. So you have this DIY workbench where you can make it, and you can only make this stuff if you have the DIY um, uh, blueprints. So with the blueprints, you learn it, you can make it. And
Uh-huh.
I've been making a lot of furniture. But this is the first time in a really long time that I've been playing Animal Crossing that from the earliest outset, my house looks really nice. Because I always have this idea of what I want my house to look like. And it never looks that good in the beginning. It always takes me months to have a decent looking house. And now I have an actual, really good looking house. Um, so yeah, I've been doing that for the past couple of days mostly. But before that came out, they dropped the demo for Trials of Mana. And Sean, um, that I'm a big fan of the
Oh
Mana
my
titles.
god, he won't shut up about it.
But I've mentioned this before when they announced Trials of Mana at last year's E3, I was literally in tears
Oh my
because
god.
I never thought the day that I'd be playing a legitimate version of Trials of Mana that was officially localized, and that they would also be releasing a remake, not a remaster, or not that crap that they did to Secret of Mana, which I still find one of the most insulting things that Square Enix has done this generation. But giving it like a proper treatment of a remake, oh man, like Trials of Mana looks so good on Switch. It has some weird animation hiccups during cutscenes, but the gameplay is super smooth. They redid the gameplay. Um, Unfortunately, it's now single player and not multiplayer like the original game, but it's fine because you can still switch characters. You have a team of three. You have your main character, and you can choose two other side characters that come on your quest. And you have, I think, a total of six characters that you can choose from. So it also invites multiple playthroughs because everyone's story is different. The goal is the same: is to get the mana sword, which is the MacGuffin of this game. Um, but everybody has their own story as to why they're going on this quest for themselves. So um, the demo also transfers the save file. So if you have a Switch or a PlayStation 4, because it's also coming to PlayStation 4 or Steam, so if you have a PC, which I'm assuming most people do, you can download the demo for free, try out the first part, defeat the first boss, and the save file transfers to the full game.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's what I've been playing.
Okay.
Nice. That's a lot.
And I got it in the time limit, so yay.
Yay.
Yes. And
Yes.
on that note, we'll be right back with our hidden gem.
And welcome back to our final segment, which is called the Hidden Gems.
What? No
So
hidden gem.
see, I got you to do it. Ha ha!
Yeah,
Mission
but I can't
complete.
do it like you can, so maybe you should just do it like you always do it.
All right, so it's time for our hidden gems.
That, yeah.
So,
I should have done it
on,
on the Days Gone way. Hidden
yeah.
gem.
We're so happy to do this.
Oh, I love talking about my
Uh,
hidden gems. So cool.
so, Gizomar, what is your hidden gem?
um, yeah, I know. Sean's not gonna like it, but it's gonna be a Game Boy Advance game.
Oh my god.
Ooh, okay.
And it is an RPG in the style of Pokemon, but it's centered on Metabots. I don't know if you guys remember that series on TV, but it was like
I
a kid
remember it.
a kid
Vaguely.
got a kid got a robot, but to activate the robot, you had to have a certain medal, and that kid got a very special medal all of a sudden, and he
Oh,
put it
I
in.
remember
Ah,
Metabots.
oh,
Yeah,
now he
I
remembers.
had
Yeah.
yeah,
toys around Metabots.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
yeah.
What? Why are you
Wow, that
laughing?
But
is not something that I did expected you to say. Just the wow. Okay,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
man. I
well,
just watched the show and like played the games. Like that's it.
I
yeah,
like Metabots, man. Because you
yeah,
could, with
Okay.
the toys, you could, just like in the TV show, you could swap out parts.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, you could just like
Oh,
pull
that's
off an arm
cool.
and put on a different arm or a head, and that was really cool, man.
Okay. Okay.
But continue, Gizmo.
So yeah, one of my hidden gems is Metabots. Apparently, Sean Templar had toys from them, so that's.
Yeah,
but
man, I loved it.
but yeah, it was like a Pokemon kind of game. So you had to collect different robots, different medals, but there was also a
Different
tactical
parts.
different parts. That was what I'm getting at. You had to be tactical about how you made your team and which parts of each robot you had to use against a certain enemy, and that was kind of um, interesting to have it included in a game. If you were used to Pokemon, you had a team of 6 Pokemon with different abilities, and then that was it. You didn't have any tactical advantages within those Pokemons. Yeah, maybe a bit of which moves you had, but with the Metabots game, it was like you had one skeleton, but you could have had 4 different robots onto that skeleton just to optimize your team for the specific enemy you had at that moment, and that was something that was you could change it every segment of the game, and that was really uh, yeah, that was really special to experience when you were only uh, used to a game like Pokemon. And yeah, it was on
Yeah.
the Game Boy Advance, and it was pretty. It had good graphics for that time. So uh,
It was
yeah,
also surprisingly deep
yeah,
in terms of like game mechanics because you also had to rely on the durability of the parts. So
yeah.
some parts would just like, okay, this part is strong,
But you can only
but
use it for once.
it's also weak. So if a well placed hit from you from one of the enemies, and that part will be unusable, and you just have like this limpy endoskeleton arm
Yeah,
that's left because the part blew off, and it's also just like the base arm that's
yeah,
left
yeah.
or the
And
base head.
and then you had also the
Oh, that
fact
was
that
so
you,
weird.
yeah, that you had the medals you could yeah, collect, and if you had a certain special medal, your robot would be so powerful. And of course, you had 2 versions, like the Pokemon game. You had the Metabee version, which was uh, the main character's main robot in the series, and then you had the Rokusho, which was like the um,
The
uh,
rival.
yeah, the rival. And each game had its exclusive set of parts, which were not available in one game or the other. Just like
And
a
the
like
stories went a little bit different as well.
yeah,
Like because the Metabee version, you're not the main character, you're friends with the main character, and you're following them around.
Yeah,
And with the Rokusha version, is basically the same thing. So you're following the story perspectives from Meta B or Rokusha, depending on which version that you were
yeah.
playing.
Instead of the guy who was controlling them, that was really, yeah, yeah. All things considered, it was a really fun game. I've lost so many hours in that game. Um, and yeah, it was different than like the Pokemon and the Super Mario Kart and yeah, the normal titles you would play on a Game Boy.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I played it too back in the game, and I remember having a lot of fun with that game. I played the Metabi version because, of course, I did because I'm basic. Uh, but yeah, I had a lot of fun too. So I see why you would choose that as a game to play.
Yeah.
The question then remains: is this a game that people would still be able to play?
So basically, I just looked it up on the Nintendo side, and you're able to buy it if you do have a Wii U. I don't know if it's available through Virtual Console on the Switch. I hopefully they will implement like what they did with the NES and
Nah, the Virtual Console has been replaced with the Nintendo Switch Online
yeah.
catalog thing. So
So
unless they also add one for Game Boy Advance games to Nintendo Switch Online, I don't think so. But yeah,
let's hope for that.
if you still have a Wii U somewhere, dig it out of storage, hook it up to online, and just download it from the Virtual Console.
Or if you have a Game Boy Advance, you just buy look on Craigslist or Marketplace or at your local game shop and see if they still have the cartridge because yeah,
Or
it's
eBay.
or eBay. It's really fun
Yeah.
game to play and as John Maximilian mentioned, it had so much underlying tactical game mechanics that you're not done playing it just once. So that yeah
Yeah.
that
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing,
yeah,
Gizmo.
you're welcome.
Um,
And here I was
uh,
hoping bringing this special guest on, we would talk about something not Nintendo related. But hey, for this time, I'm giving you a free pass.
Yeah.
well, lucky for you, lucky for you, Sean. Mine is not Nintendo related.
Oh my god, stop the
Oh,
presses. This is not possible.
It is possible. I've done it in the past. Don't be
headlines,
alarmed.
What?
headlines.
No, this is even more bigger news than a vaccine for. No, that's
No,
No, it's
not.
no,
not.
no,
It's not. No,
no.
it's not. But yeah, it is. Well, I don't know if it's a. You know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna talk about it. So my hidden gem is Parasite Eve. If you haven't heard of it, Parasite Eve is a SquareSoft, back when they were still SquareSoft, game for the PlayStation 1. It's what you would, of course, think of it. It's an action JR. Well, it's an action-ish turn-based JRPG. A lot of the main guys from back in the day worked on this. So people that worked on Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VI, and stuff like that. Tetsuya Nomura did the art design or the character design for Parasite Eve as well. And you can, like, if you look at the art design for the manuals and stuff like that, you can really tell that it's a Nomura game, like it's Nomura's artwork. Um, and it is a it's one of those unique JRPGs in that you still have the battles occur in semi-randomly. It kind of reminds me of Chrono Trigger, where you see the enemies and then you go into this sort of sphere. You don't transition. There's no like Final Fantasy style transition. You just transition into a battle mode, and you're in the same environment and you're walking around and you're shooting the enemies because it takes place in the 90s New York. I wouldn't say contemporary because it's not um, current contemporary. Um, but yeah, it takes place in New York. You play as this character called Aya Brea, and she's a cop who is in New York on Christmas Eve on a blind date. Sure. Um, and then they're at the opera, and the opera singer just starts mutating and weird stuff starts happening and people start bursting into flames and it, there's a lot of I want to say there's a lot of body horror in this game. So yeah, there's that. But the game itself is really cool and really intriguing. It has voice. Wait, does it have voice acting? Oh crap! It's been a while. I think there is some very light voice acting in there. Mostly in the cutscenes.
Hmm.
Like the opera singer actually sings. Um, but yeah, so the opera singer is this is a person who gets infected with this weird thing called mitochondrial Eve, hence the title Parasite Eve, which takes over her body, and she's basically the main baddie of the game, and you have to stop her from spreading her mutation around, because as more as her mutation spreads, the more um, the more people, more creatures get infected. So while everybody is trying to get the H out of the opera theater, you as Ayabrea are a cop and you're like, oh, okay, weird stuff is happening. My date just ran out, so let me just investigate what's going on. So she goes backstage, and the first thing that you come across is a rat that instantly starts mutating, and its flesh starts melting, and it turns into this giant rat creature, and you have to use your weapon. So, as a New York City police officer, you're always strapping your gun, even if you go on a date, apparently. Um,
Okay.
and it turns into this kind of turn-based
America.
tactical RPG
Uh,
where you still have a time battle mechanic where you have a gauge that runs up just like any other Final Fantasy game, and then when your gauge is full, then you can take an action. Then you can either attack or defend, or later in the game you gain super normal abilities, because apparently you also have this um, parasite, but instead of it making you evil and want to turn everything into a blobby, gross mess, you actually can use your abilities against um, the, the the enemies of the game, and of course the main baddie. And it's a really nice looking game. Like the character proportions are realistic, like in Final Fantasy VIII. This was before Final Fantasy VIII, so this is the first time that Square Enix put out a game with realistically looking people in it. And the point of course, is to stop the spread, and it gets worse. And you go to, interesting locales. You go to Central Park. You go to like they have to cordon off all of Manhattan, so you're mostly on Manhattan, going from place to place as the story dictates. And yeah, it's like I don't want to go into it anymore because otherwise it goes into spoiler territory. But bless you, Gizmo.
Thank you.
And
I saw that the game was produced by Hironobu Sakaguchi.
yes, it
Now it's
was.
really strange that I bring up that name because I rarely bring up Japanese developers or stuff like that. It so happened to be that I know that Hironobu Sakaguchi is founder of Mistwalker, and he did a lot of those Xbox 360 exclusive games back in the time that Xbox
He's
360 was
also the
trying to
father of Final Fantasy.
that as well.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember
This was,
that.
by the way, the first time that he did not direct a JRPG.
Yeah, he was a
This is
producer,
the
I
first.
believe.
This is the first time that he's producing. So
Yeah.
basically, from Parasite Eve onwards, he's only producing RPGs at Square. So like Final Fantasy VIII and stuff like that, he produced instead of directed.
Yeah, yeah, that's really nice. I did not know that.
Yeah, so like a lot of people from the Final Fantasy games also worked on this. People from Chrono Trigger worked on this. And it's actually based on a Japanese novel of the same name, which a year later would get a theatrical release. So there's actually a movie that the story revolves around. But Parasite Eve, the video game, is technically a sequel to Parasite Eve, the novel slash movie.
Good to know.
So if you've read the novel or if you've seen the movie, um, it'll
Oh, damn.
take place. The game takes place after those events. So yeah, it's super weird. If you like, it is on PlayStation Network. So if you have a PlayStation 3 or PlayStation Vita, you can buy it on there. I'd say get it while you can because again, it was based on a book, and it took a really long time for it to finally show up on PSN because of the rights. Because the novelist actually held the rights to the game for a while, so it took them a long time to finally get the rights to digitally distribute um, the Parasite Eve, the first game and the second game. There are three games in this franchise. The third game is not called Parasite Eve; it's called The Third Birthday, and it's a PSP exclusive. It started out as a mobile game, but things happened and then they had to push it to PSP. And the reason why it's called The Third Birthday instead of Parasite Eve 3 is because they lost the rights to the title, but they still own the rights to the characters because the characters are unique to the video game franchise. So they had to rename it The Birthday. But from what I've heard, The Third Birthday is best skipped because it's really like it's even more weird than the first two games.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. But the first game, total recommend. Get it on Vita, get it on PlayStation 3 if you have that still hooked up, and just enjoy a weird, freaky JRPG that is not Final Fantasy
Yay!
And not Nintendo.
and on Nintendo.
Yay!
Didn't
Even
have to
better.
run back then, but sure.
Sounds like the PlayStation kind of does have the best JRPGs, even though I don't play them.
Moving on, Sean Templar, what is your hidden gem?
My hidden gem is an unconventional game for myself because people that know me know that I'm completely not into horror. I almost despise it. But for some reason, I don't know why I played this game, but my game is Dead Space,
Woo!
and
Oh,
it's a
nice.
yeah, it's a game developed by EA or published by EA, developed by Visceral Interactive,
Visual
I believe.
games.
Visceral Games.
Visceral
Yeah.
Games, Visceral Interactive.
Rest in peace, Visceral
Yeah,
Games.
Visceral Games.
Who are
So
bankrupt.
it basically revolves around. Yeah, it's a bummer that the guys are gone. They were working on a Star Wars game before they went. They were shut down, and Medal of Honor also. Um, so is I don't know. Has anyone seen the movie Event Horizon or maybe like Alien or stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen bits of Event Horizon. Also seen. I've only seen Alien once.
Okay, so like it's almost like a proper Alien slash Event Horizon game in which that you play as a character. I believe he was called Isaac.
Isaac.
Um, yeah, he's
Yeah, Isaac.
an engineer on the ship, and stuff just goes wrong. And you don't know what's what actually going on, so you're kind of exploring, and before you know it, you see it looks like monsters humans mutated into monsters. It's not like
Yeah.
that they're walking, they're crawling, and they're this hideous, ugly monstrosity. Um, and so you just have to kind of like puzzle your way through the story and complete certain missions. There's a lot of jump scares in there. You don't have conventional weapons. You kind of use your engineer weapons to um,
Cut off their
basically chop off
limbs.
limbs. Yeah,
Yeah.
cut off their
Because
limbs.
Isaac is an engineer, not a soldier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you cut off their limbs, and that's how kind of how you kill them.
Actually, no, he's a miner. Sorry.
Is he a
No,
miner? I thought he was
he's
an
an
He was a
engineer.
miner.
No, he's an engineer.
Oh,
And
okay.
Yeah.
the story is like he's going to that ship because his wife is on that ship because that ship had
Yeah.
a distress call, and that part with his wife is so effing. Yeah, it's.
I never
Yeah.
finished the game.
Oh, I did.
I actually
And
don't
it's
know
so
why I
good.
finished the game. I think I have it on Origin, so I might actually pick it up if I can find the courage.
Do we
Well,
need to hold your hands?
maybe.
Do we need to accompany you through the scary game?
Maybe I should do a live stream or something like that. I don't know. But
and then maybe the audience can hold your hand too.
yeah. Oh, we're this big happy family going through this horrible game. But I for at the time it was this pretty unique horror game because one, people didn't expect EA to bring out such a game. Secondly, it had these. I love the way the story was told because somewhere in there, your character's also kind of having these hallucinations or these, yeah, so you're starting to doubt like what's real and what's not. So they really play from the psychological perspective. They really kind of mess up your brain. um, the part around you upgrading your character and your weapons and stuff like that was in there. It was a pretty complete experience. And also that it almost had no HUD, for example. So you would see your life was basically like this meter on your back. So it
Yeah.
looked like it's part of your armor. So that's a really, it made sure that the game wasn't cluttered with all these menus and HUD thingies. And even if you, I think you couldn't even pause the game. If you would hit the
No, you
pause
can't
button,
pause.
you would just go into your inventory, but the game would still go on, so you can't even pause the game.
Yeah, it was
But
very
that's how,
immersive. Yeah.
yeah. So like they really, really did that well. They brought out 2 sequels. I didn't play those, but I heard that they weren't as good as the first one because
2 sequels and a prequel.
they also did a prequel.
Yeah.
It was a Wii exclusive.
Oh yeah, I can
Yeah, it
remember
was
that. Yeah.
Which
So
I
Unreal.
did, which I played. That on-rail shooter, but it was really good. It looked really good, and that stuff was scary.
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, so
it leads up to the beginning of Dead Space 1.
ah,
So
And
I basically like you're playing as multiple characters, but the last character that you're playing with is actually accompanying Isaac's wife to the ship for when they're gonna do the initial investigation where Isaac Lasser goes to.
okay. Yeah,
And it's,
so
yeah.
I heard that the second and third game were more action focused, more shooter focused, and it kind of strayed away from what made the first one really unique. They even introduced co-op in the second or the third one, which is
third
a little
one.
bit forced.
Yeah,
Yeah, so and it's also that at least for I don't know, but at the time it felt like they were bringing out the sequels in rapid succession, so really close to each other. So I felt that there wasn't really a lot of time to innovate and to kind of come up with new mechanics. It was just more like adding on top of what they already had. It's a real bummer because when it came out at the time, it was really something unique. It caught the industry kind of by surprise.
Yeah, and just to add to that, the third game was really action oriented. I've played all 3 of them, and it was still a horror game in essence, but the action was a bit laid on top of it too thick. But what they did capture very good was the continuation of the story. So why it wasn't an isolated thing, and that was the only reason that I played all the other games was like I want to see how this story ends. And yeah, eventually it does give you an ending that could be satisfactory for one, but you can also have like, really, is it this? But yeah, but what you said is like when you first start the Dead Space 1 and like you're not, there's nobody holding your hand how to get to there. There's no how you said tutorial. It's like you get there and everything is effed up, and you don't know how, and you don't know why. And one of the best things in that game is like you see tidbits of hints. Like at I think maybe 5 minutes into the game, you walk into a room and you see a lot of blood and gore, and you see on the wall scribbled like "cut off their limbs," and that's the part where you get your first engineering tool. I'm like, okay, let's try that. And then you see, and that was also very good. Like when you could reverse the angle of your cutting tool, right? So you could just saw off the arms or the legs or the heads, and that was like, holy, what the hell? How did you come up with this game mechanic? Like, if the angle is wrong, you just cut off like the pinky of the arm, but it was still lethal to you. So it's like, I shoot you, and you're like dying there still because your angle wasn't good enough. Like, but and those jump scares, like it was like there were some sequences like you think, okay, this is gonna be there. You see a shadow and like you hear something.
Yeah.
Like, okay, in in 5 seconds a jump scare will come, and then it's like, no, no, it's in 5 seconds, it's in 7 seconds. Like, oh, it's not there, and but it's still there. Like, ah.
Yeah. Oh my god. I remember this part in which
You
this.
okay, dude?
Yeah, but I remember this part in which I'm walking through this corridor, and there's a lot of smoke in that corridor, and I need to go to this platform, and then I'm just walking slowly down the corridor, knowing that there's gonna be a jump scare, and nothing happens. I'm like, okay, but this is strange because this is like the perfect setting, and there's smoke, and you're hearing sounds, and there's shadows, and nothing happens. And on the way back, in the same corridor, I get attacked and jumped, and that's where I freaked out. I'm like, oh my god, because they're setting you up for that moment. You're like, okay, it's gonna happen. You're on the edge of your seat, ready to jump up, and it doesn't happen, and then it grabs you in the moment that you least expect it, and that's what's really cool about the game. I see that I have the first one and the third one on Origin. I don't know why I don't have the second one.
The second
Fun
one
fact about the game is
good.
that okay, I think I might try it. I don't know.
There's one sequence in the second game. It's gonna crawl under your skin. It's like, I think if you look up 10 top 10 most scary moments in horror games, this moment is in the top 3 or something. It has to do something with an eye. That's the only thing I'm gonna
I've
say.
seen that. Oh my god, that's so nasty. I've
Yeah.
seen that one. I was about to say it's probably the eye one. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Nice
it's-
going, dude.
Ah.
You wigged them out.
Okay, fun fact about the game, and I'm gonna leave it at there. The creators of the game are Glenn Schofield and Michael Condrey. That might not say anything, but those are the guys that I believe they founded. They left EA. They founded Sledgehammer, and they're now working on Call of Duty games, which is like a completely different thing than
Yeah.
what they
Well,
came up with.
that's disappointing.
I don't know. Yeah, they did Advanced Warfare, Call of Duty Black Ops, World War II. So yeah, they did a couple of Call of Duty games with their studio.
I'm just looking.
All
Oh yeah,
right.
and
That's it.
Visual Games did also Dante's Inferno, which was a good game.
Yeah, it was compared to God of War a lot, but it was a really good game.
Yeah.
They also did Battlefield Hardline, which was fortunately
Not that
not so good of a game. Nope.
Yeah.
Yep. They did Sims 3 Ambitions. Oh my god!
Oh, that's it. Oh,
whoop-
yes.
Whoopee. Yay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And Lord of the
They
Rings.
actually did a lot of Sims.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
a shame that
that's
they
my
went
hidden
bankrupt.
gem. Yeah.
They
were
didn't go bankrupt. EA just said, "Yeah, we're done with you."
yeah, EA closed them down. They were working on that Star Wars game
Yeah,
with
1313.
Henning, and then,
Yeah.
yeah, and then they shut it down, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Yay, yay.
Oh well. Yay. Oh well.
Yay.
I think that's it.
I think so
Yeah.
too.
You want to take us out?
Sure. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, you can always find us on Anchor or on whatever podcasting service that you use, on Apple Podcast, Google Play Podcast, Stitcher, Overcast, Pocket Cast, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can always find us on Twitter, which is game_rivals_. You can find me on @Maximilian. Gizmo, do you have a Twitter handle?
Yes, but not gonna share it.
That's fair. That's fair. Because SeanTemplar doesn't have a Twitter at all. Yeah.
I like to be,
so-
the social distancing part. I take this really serious, so I like to be solitary isolation.
Yeah. You did that like
Yeah.
in
He's been doing
advance,
it
like
so well.
10
He's been
years
doing
ago.
it for years.
I've been doing it for years. I've been preaching that it's gonna happen, but nobody listened. So now it's finally here.
You can also find us on Instagram @GameRivals, all one word. You can find us on YouTube. You can find the link in the description. You can also leave us a voice message. You don't need to make an Anchor account for that. The link is also in the description for that. And don't forget to like us and give us 5-star reviews on on your podcasting platform of choice because that way more people can find out about us. Don't forget to mention us to your friends and family who would love to listen to a bunch of Dutch guys talking about gaming for about an hour and a half. So,
Definitely.
It's
am I
not that
missing
we have
anything
something.
else? No, I think that's it.
Yeah,
Oh, and also give us feedback on our email, which is gamerivalsfeedback@gmail.com.
Yes.
So, Gizmo,
thank you all.
how did you find your how did you find your first episode with us?
Yeah, it was fun to do. It's really fun to share
That
thoughts
was an
about.
awkward silence in there.
No, it's really fun to do because yeah, you get to share your views about current games and everything that's happening in the gaming community. And yeah, the, you really have to think about what it means to yourself, but also what it means to other people. And yeah, this the segment about hidden gems is also fun to think about. Like, what game did you play, or what game do you think you have to share with the world? And yeah, it's really refreshing to do it. So thanks for having me, and maybe until next time.
Yeah, definitely. We enjoyed having you on. I hope that our listeners also enjoyed your opinions, your reviews as well. And yeah, hopefully we can have you again on when we have more cool news on the horizon in terms of video games. Sean Templar, anything you want to add?
I just want to thank Gizmo for participating. I can imagine that sometimes this can be a little bit, I wouldn't say scary, but maybe a little bit nervous. Uh,
A little bit intimidating.
yeah, so thank you so much
You're
for
so
joining us and for,
intimidating.
I know.
He is. He
uh,
really is.
is that I shaved, otherwise I look like a caveman. So, social isolation does that to you. No, but I
Hmm.
just want to thank you. Thank you for participating. Um, I hope you had fun. We had fun. Um, and yeah, and maybe until next time.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Thanks again, and good luck.
Yeah. Thanks. So, as we sign off, this is Maximilian X,
I'm still Sean Templar.
And still Gizmo.
and we'll see you guys next time.